Water is everywhere. It is in the air, glaciers, and oceans. 70% of the Earth is covered in water, but there's no feasible way to use most of the water available, since the majority of it is saltwater. A mere 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh, and only 40% of the fresh water is accessible. Some areas have an abundance of water, but no way to transport it to areas where water is scarce. This has left us with a problem. Today, 2.4 billion people lack clean, fresh water.
12-year-old Rosy Bell lives with her parents and 5 siblings in a small community called La Horca in the mountains of central Nicaragua. Until recently, Rosy Bell would rise at dawn every day before school and walk 2 kilometers to fetch water for her family. To get to the creek, she traveled a dangerous, long, rocky road that left her alone and vulnerable, not just in the morning, but after school and again right before bed. But after all of the hours Rosy Bell put into this effort, the water she fetched was unclean and unsafe. That's because the only water source available to the people of her village was the same creek used by the livestock.
We need to find a way to access more fresh water or make unclean or salt water usable. Why? Because a lack of clean, portable water is one of the most harmful issues facing humankind today. More than 800,000 children die every year from preventable diarrheal diseases caused by unsafe water. In fact, these diarrheal illnesses are the second leading cause of death worldwide in the children under 5 years of age, more than AIDS, malaria, and measles combined. In total, around 1.5 million kids perish per year due to preventable water-related illnesses. The number is even higher once adults are factored in.
Patients suffering from a preventable yet potentially deadly disease in the isolation ward of Juba's teaching hospital. It's the only dedicated cholera clinic set up by the Ministry of Health in this latest outbreak. But many of the patients are too sick to help by the time they get here.
Most of these people, they came late. The veins were already collapsed. We were not able to establish a line. That's why we were not able to save them.
Cholera is a bacteria spreading contaminated food or water and causes diarrhea and severe dehydration. There's a vaccine against it, but many don't have access to that kind of healthcare.
From the UNICEF side, we're estimating that approximately 5,000 children are at risk of dying from cholera, and we believe this is completely unacceptable in this day and age for a disease that is preventable and that is very much easily treatable.
The lack of availability of water hurts local economies. 95% of agriculture in Africa depends on rainfall, so a community can be crippled during a drought. During the drought of 2007, maize production fell 50% in southern Africa, leading to huge food insecurity. When there is not a dependable source of water, agriculture is difficult and people can go hungry. Currently, agriculture accounts for 70% of global freshwater withdrawals. It is the biggest consumer of water. The UN estimates that half of the world's population will live in areas of high water stress by 2030.
The effects of months with no rain and little food are starting to show. Cattle in rural Zimbabwe survive on the bare minimum. And people like Shelley Zokuwomba try to get by. She looks after her 2 grandchildren. She says this is the only meal they'll eat today. Once the vegetables are cooked, she will send the children to ask the neighbors for some bread.
Some people give me food, some don't. There's nothing I can do. I tried growing more food, but it's too hot. Everything just dies.
Water is also an important factor of production and industry. It is used at some point in the manufacturing of every product. Corporations are huge consumers of available water, which is used to grow raw materials, obtain gasoline, generate thermoelectric energy, and more. It takes 24 gallons of water to make 1 pound of plastic, 75,000 gallons to produce 1 ton of steel, and roughly 2 gallons to refine 1 gallon of gasoline. An economy cannot grow and industrialize without accessible water. Water scarcity is a crippling problem facing our world today. If it can be solved, people will live longer, healthier lives, and agriculture and industry will improve. There is current research being done into desalination processes, purification methods, and more cost-effective transportation.